Hi, my name is Pastor Russell Mullenberg, and this is Eat This Word, a weekly program where I serve up bite-sized bits of Bible. Bite-sized bit of Bible we've been looking at the last 2 weeks are 6 verses from Colossians chapter 1, Colossians 1, 15 through 20. This picture of Jesus being first, this picture of Jesus being preeminent, having priority. Paul's very high Christology, his high picture of who Jesus is. As I read it, I want you to pay attention. I've highlighted for you the word all. I just noticed that there are at least 7 times in these 5 verses the word all comes up. It's a way of expressing the comprehensive nature of Christ's rule, the comprehensive nature of all that Jesus is Lord over. And so let's read the passage. The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He's before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he's the head of the body, the church. He's the beginning and the firstborn from among the dead, so that in everything he might have the supremacy. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. And so this is who Jesus is. This is who Jesus is right now, his work and his role in heaven. And so we've seen already Jesus is first over all creation. By him, through him, for him, all things were made. And in him, all things hold together. We've seen that Jesus is the head of the church, the head of the body, that he is the control and command for those who he's called to himself. And now today we're going to see how Christ is first in the mission. That we're going to talk about the mission of what Jesus accomplished when he was here on earth and the mission that he's continuing to accomplish today. Our focus will be the final 2 verses, verses 19 and 20. And what I want you to notice as we look at these verses is a couple of words here and some implied contrasts. So notice the word peace. And when we talk about making peace, the implication, the contrast there is that there must have been enmity. There would have been hostility. Or the word reconciliation. To reconcile implies that there was separation, there was estrangement. And then the third contrast, I want to compare this idea that God was pleased with this image, this terrible image of a bloody cross. So let's talk about making peace. Let's talk about hostility and enmity towards God. The gospel begins, the good news of Jesus Christ begins with this notion that you and me, we are at odds with God. Because of our sin, because of our sinful nature, we are in a place where we are rebellious against our heavenly Creator. We are at war with him. Romans 8 expresses it like this. It says, the mind governed by the flesh is hostile to God. You and me, when you look at the cosmic picture without Jesus, we are enemy combatants. We are hostiles against the reign of the rightful ruler of the universe. We are rebels. And so when we are told that Jesus made peace for us, that's what we need. We need this peace between us and God. So the word, if we go back to Colossians 1, is reconciliation. There's this estrangement, this separation between God and us as rebel humanity, and so there needed to be a bringing together, a reconciliation. Paul expresses that in Romans chapter 5. He says, for while we were God's enemies, we were reconciled to him through the death of his Son. How much more, having been reconciled, shall we be saved through his life? And so the story of the gospel is one where we are hostile to God, where we are enemies of the Father, being brought together, being reconciled, having peace made between us and our Father. And how? How is that accomplished? Back to Colossians. For God was pleased to shed Christ's blood on the cross. It's this horrible image, and here's why Christians talk so much about the crucifixion of Jesus. We do not take delight in the idea of a man being tortured. We do not take delight in the picture of a man with blood pouring down his head or gushing from his side. And yet it is in those acts of sacrifice that God was pleased to send his son to take this punishment that our enmity had deserved and to reconcile us to him. It is the bridge that makes peace between us and our Father. That is what Jesus has done for us. That is the picture of the gospel that is given to us here in Colossians. And so when we go back to verse 18 and we talk about Jesus being the head, the firstborn from the dead, that he has supremacy, that he's preeminent. Here's why. Here's why. Because of what Jesus has done for us in making peace, for creating a way to reconcile us to the Father. By his blood shed on the cross, God was pleased to bring people to him. And so as we talk about who Jesus is and what Jesus is doing right now, he is continuing on this mission to bring people home to God, to make a way to bring peace where there has been hostility, to bring reconciliation where there's been separation and hurt. God is pleased through the sacrifices of his Son to show that his Son is preeminent in bringing people to himself. Once again, I want to thank you for watching. If you appreciate this video, your likes and shares help to make this video be seen by more people, give more people the opportunity to discover what we're doing at Eat This Word. To learn more about us, you can visit eatthisword.com, and if you'd like to financially support us, we have a Patreon page, and your gifts are appreciated.